Warframe and is mainly infested themed, and I have to say he's probably the best frame for endgame currently. To make this even better, he only costs 175 platinum if you want to buy him in the market. This makes him one of the cheapest Warframes to buy, apart from the 3 starter frames. So I'd highly recommend buying him, or maybe even grinding him, if you want to go into the endgame, since this makes it relatively easy. If we take a look at his abilities, he might only have 4 abilities, and only 2 of them that actually take energy, but all of them have amazing synergy, and he also has a very unique system called mutation stacks. Basically, as you damage enemies with your virulence, you're going to be getting a 5th of mutation stack for every enemy damaged. Let's showcase this quickly. Let's pause these enemies. These are usually enemies you'll find in a normal mission of any faction type. So if we pause them, let's look at these crawlers right here. So if we only take 1, as you see, that's going to charge up a 5th of that bar right there, the mutation stack bar. However, this ability does have punch through, as you see, charged up quite a bit there. Anyway though, moving on to the second ability, we have Larva. What Larva is going to do is it's going to bring a lot of enemies close to each other, and you cannot recast this ability. The only way to end it is either if the duration runs out, or if all enemies inside have died. This is very powerful stacked with your first ability. As you can see, brings all of them together, and on your first ability you can really easily farm stacks off of them. Another very important thing to note is, by the way, you also do your armor and everything does grow while using that. Okay, accidentally used my ultimate there. We'll get to that later. A very important thing to note is that for every mutation stack you get, your damage from your first ability is going to be multiplied by the amount of mutation stacks you have. For example, let's say you have 100 stacks, which is the max. Your first ability is going to be doing 100 times damage. And if we quickly look at how much we're doing with this build, yeah, that's going to be a lot of damage. That's what I can say now. And I know this may seem a little useless, since especially for endgame, rely on the damage of a on-scaling ability. For the build I'm using, this build does require a few forma if you have the Umbral mods maxed out. However, for most people this is very unlikely, and I'd also, by the way, recommend adaptation. Do not max out this mod, since the difference between this mod being rank 6, for example, and rank 10 is very minimal, since the maximum is still going to be 90%, and on rank 6 it's anyway going to give a 8% resistance to every hit. Well, if you have this rank 10, it's going to cost quite a lot of mod capacity and not have a noticeable difference. In a normal encounter though, you will have this at 90%, giving you a 90% damage reduction basically permanently. Umbral Intensify is very important, since this is going to help out literally every ability Nidus has. And further, the armor is also going to be very useful, since Nidus has no shields. I'm using Hunter Adrenaline and Rage in synergy, so that for every time I lose a health point, I'm going to be getting around 1 energy. As you can also notice, Nidus does have some very unique rank bonuses. At rank 30, not just is he going to heal faster, have more armor, energy max, and health, but he will also have more ability strength. He's the only Warframe in the game that has this, and that means even if we're going to be using an unmodded Nidus, he's going to have 115 strength at base, meaning that he can reach an amount of power strength that none other Warframe can reach, except with Arcane Helmet. Further, I'm running Natural Talent to make my abilities cast faster. This is only in preference, and I would say, if you don't mind the long casting animations, the casting animations can become a problem at later levels. That's why I'm running this. But if you don't really care about that, I would very highly recommend running either Primed Vigor, or if you can afford to put it in, or even better, would be primed flow, or just maybe even normal flow, because energy max is going to be important. However, your first ability does refund energy. It's going to another important thing to note is, let's say you have no efficiency. Like, let's quickly take this Blind Rage and put it on. Even if we have a 60% efficiency on our ability, as you can see, Virulence is actually now going to refund extra energy a hit. This is because no matter what, Virulence will always refund 25% of the amount of energy the ability takes for every enemy hit, meaning that if you hit 4 enemies or more at once, you're going to be getting all your energy back and more. This build, you're going to be getting energy back for your health, so energy should not be a problem for you. Further, adaptation, 90% damage resistance, very useful. The extra ability range is also something I might add, because it's going to increase the explosion radius of your maggots, of Ravenous, going to make your Parasitic Link have extra range, make your Virulence have extra range, and Larva attract enemies from further, also making it very useful. And I already went over these 3. By the way, for Aura, use what you want to. Now, if you have enough mod capacity, I don't have any Forma or anything in Nidus, I don't really like Formaing Warframes. Something I would actually highly recommend is Physique. Physique is going to give you 90% increased health. Now, keep in mind that this health does not apply with the health that you have from mods, or the health that you get from rank bonuses. It's just going to give you 90% more health based on your base health. So if we can actually do something, as you can see, normally Nidus would have 150 health. If we're going to be putting on Physique, we're going to have additional 120 HP. Now, this may not seem like a lot, but if we're going to be taking that 90% damage reduction into account, that's going to give us a very high percent increase in survivability. Sorry, my controller for some reason doesn't want to work today. Now that we have that out of the way, we should talk about Parasitic Link. Parasitic Link is a very powerful ability of Nidus, and it actually takes these mutation stacks. Since we don't have any now, they didn't run out over time, by the way, it's just when you enter the arsenal they disappear. Yeah, we require 1 more mutation stack. We get this very fast. Watch this. There we already have 3 stacks. Now, if we go test this out over here, I have to tell you now that this is a very important ability for Nidus' survivability. Now, if we are linked to an enemy, it links for quite a while, but most importantly, you cannot be knocked down or staggered while linked to an enemy. To make this even better, let's quickly look at what our ability strength gives us. This is going to give us a 81.5% damage reduction, compared to the 90% that we also get from 8% damage reduction. That is absolutely huge. To make this even better, if you hold down your first ability now, you're going to notice there's going to be boxes. Now, yes, if you are linked to an enemy, that enemy is also going to shoot out a Virulence out of them, and it won't cost any energy, but also give you additional stacks. So if we aim this in a way that I'm going to be targeting every enemy, yeah, wait, let's make them target over here. As you see, those are 2 Virulences. This is especially helpful if you want to get additional stacks. However, the aiming is pretty weird, and you usually don't want to be holding down your first ability for the range. However, who knows, sometimes this might be actually helpful to show how far it goes. Which is pretty far, by the way. Now that we have that out of the way, let's talk about Nidus' ultimate. And now, to showcase the ultimate a little better, I'm going to be spawning in 20 enemies and have them unpaused. Basically, if you want to know what it does, in a nutshell, Nidus' ultimate is going to spawn a huge amount of infested ground around your character, which is affected by power range. And I have to tell you right now that it is one of his best abilities. Unfortunately, if you're in the survival and you're going to be moving around, or your friends are moving around, this will become a little problematic, but you can see. So the cool thing about Ravenous is there's going to be maggots spawning off. If we hold in our first ability, we can see all of them in a location. If you hit one of them, and they explode by hitting them with your first ability, they're going to give you an additional stack. Now, they're also going to target enemies, meaning look at the amount of stacks we're going to get now. Oh, a little bit of a trick with Nidus, if you're going to Operator and out again, you're instantly going to be able to see how much stacks you get. Now, if we also link to someone, get the additional virulence, look at these stacks. 95 stacks already. Around, literally in a minute, you can reach maximum power. By the way, your character looks absolutely awesome at 100 stacks. You're also going to be getting health regeneration on Ravenous. And further, all I could say is, now, speaking of which, these enemies, even though they have such a high amount of armor, notice how it's not doing bad damage. I mean, obviously guns are going to do better since they can be modded, but that's really not bad for their ability. Also, you can't damage an enemy while they are linked to you, but if you unlink, all the damage is going to be dealt instantly. So, in general, I have to say that if you take all of this into account, Nidus has absolutely amazing survivability. And you know what? Let's unpause these 20 level 100 heavy gunners. In fact, let's make them level 120 heavy gunners. Nidus is still going to take them on relatively easy. We're going to get in Nidus' passive in a little bit. That's why I spawned these very high level enemies. As you can see, look at my survivability. Since I'm linked, I'm immune to knockdowns, and I'm regaining quite a lot of health from my infested ground. My maggots are also providing a really nice crowd control, but let's unlink to this enemy so that we can maybe actually get away to die. It's very hard with Nidus, but he has a very unique passive that triggers when you die. Look at this. This is his passive, Undying. When you die, instead of dying, if you have over 15 mutation stacks, it's going to take 15 stacks and then give you 5 seconds of invulnerability, which you will gain 50% of your maximum health in that time. This is absolutely amazing. If you compare this with a very high Ravenous, even if you are fighting against level 2,700 enemies, you're going to be getting stacks faster than you're losing them. This kind of provides Nidus unlimited damage reduction and survivability. This is why I think he is one of the best Warframes in the game currently. His larva can also, by the way, be used with weapons, with punch or something like that, to really just group up enemies. As you see, we're using a Redeemer with magnetic damage, it's still just destroying them. And as you can see, this heavy gunner is constantly getting crowd controlled by the maggots. So, can we just quickly appreciate, those were level 120 enemies, which you won't even find on the highest level of sortie, only if you're going to be giving. It's absolutely crazy how I decimated them and didn't even get close to dying. And the time that I got my passive to trigger was when I didn't even link to an enemy. You're always going to be linked to an enemy, and overall, Nidus is absolutely invincible. Another thing I know some people will be asking is Nidus' deluxe skin. Now, let's just... okay. Yeah, perfect. So this is a default Nidus with the infested armor on. Now, his deluxe skin called the Frag Collection, kind of changes him from infested to a little bit of Orca. Now, if we just look at him default, this is going to be his larva and his virulence. nothing too crazy there. But, by the way, this is also when he gets max mutation stacks. Well, this only triggers when he has 10. But still, this is how he looks when he gets 10 mutation stacks without the deluxe skin. If we put on the deluxe skin, along with the helmet, he gains armor. And now that we also have this, as you see, there are now these golden things in our virulence, and in larva, there are also some of those golden things. Overall, I say this is an awesome deluxe skin, and if you want to be getting skins in Warframe, you just really gotta get this. It also comes with infested Q-Brow armor and also infested Q-Brow skin, but yeah, in general, this was my review of Nidus. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, please hit the like button or leave a comment explaining why you would want this. Leaving comments does also improve how this video does get recommended to other people, so I would highly appreciate it. Thank you to all the subscribers I've been getting recently, and hopefully we can get 100 subscribers very soon. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day.